Hey guys, Yields here. So I'm gonna try to make this video early today. So this is the Group B distributions for YieldMax. So basically, we have these funds here. So GPTY doesn't have his first distribution yet, so we're not going to include that. But let's go into each of the little mini analysis that I do on each of these funds. So LFGY, this is their first distribution. Or technically this is their second distribution, I'm sorry. But the last one was, I'm not sure why this is coming up as 0. We can quickly calculate this real quick. So, take this value here. So 17%. So yeah. But moving on to the other one. Oh, sorry. But this week we're seeing 66.92%. So if 17% is accurate, then that's pretty good. But I also believe the LFGY didn't get a full distribution last time. I can't remember. Let's see. Well, it's saying 71% last time, so I'm not sure what's going on with this here. But moving on to YieldMax. YieldMax. You can see the distributions here. So the current distribution for this week is going to be 45%. The last week was 52%. We're averaging the last 3-month trailing average at 53%. And you can see I added a distribution annualized yield chart and the share price chart. I also made each of these only include the up until like starting date of the 19th, so we can get rid of those outliers, especially on something like YieldMax. Moving into YMAG, we can come over here. So this time going around 52%. We're getting an average of 43%, so well above the average there. Last week was pretty bad at 27%, and the week before that also pretty bad. So we're seemingly coming back from kind of a little bit of a a crash, so to speak. But you can see this is pretty average for YieldMax or YMAG. It seems to follow this kind of rotation. On Group D, it does quite poor. But remember that YieldMax and YMAG are also staggered by a week, so that could explain a lot. By staggered by a week, I mean essentially just because it's on Group D with Group D doesn't mean it's reflecting Group D's performance, if that makes sense. Group A, when this comes out on Group A, it'll be reflecting Group D, essentially. I believe so. Let's go into NVIDIA. This is an interesting one as of Monday this week, because it was a huge crash. So we'll see how this performs going forward. But they were able to get 52%. So this is probably the last. Well, I'd imagine that this next distribution for NVIDIA is going to probably take a big hit, because obviously there was like a 17% downturn on Monday. I believe it was like a $600 billion or $1 million. Yeah, I think it was $1 billion like loss. So it was $1 trillion loss in the total stock market. But yeah, anyways, 52% is right around its average. So this is averaging, pretty good. I can't really say much about this except it's going to go down. Let's go to dips. Oh, looks like we're missing dips, so let me add that real quick. Dips. Okay, so moving on to dips, we have a 51% with an average of 53%. So this is actually also doing pretty decent. But you can see the share price is steadily declining. Again, I'm kind of interested in how this is going to do on the next distribution. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I wouldn't really, this is not financial advice, obviously, but I personally would not be putting myself into any of these inverse funds in the first place. There's just too much evidence on them, like, or at least data that kind of shows that they don't perform well, and you could just see them just with the share price alone. That's the case. Phoebe. So Phoebe, we have 40%, and on this one it's a 36%. So a little bit down, but up from the last two distributions. So 24 and 30%. So could be recovering here. The share price kind of stayed the same, maybe a little bit of a dip, but not much. So yeah. Moving on to GDXY. Oops, GDXY. This is the gold miners income ETF. We have a 50%, 33% trailing average. This is actually the highest in the last, at least since October, which is really interesting. Yeah. I wonder what that's cause of. I don't know. Maybe someone can tell us. But even then, you can see here the share price is still declining. $15.43. So that's still below the amount it was in December. So just keep that in mind. I don't think anyone's been really thinking that one was like game changing anyways, but moving on to Babo, 33% with a 3-month average of 45%. So this is basically the same distribution we saw last week, which is really interesting. And this is also, this is pretty sharp decline, right? You can see the trend line there. And same with the annualized yield, it's just going down and down. So I'm curious on what's going on here, because in October it was almost 70%. Now it's about half of that. So that's interesting. JPMO. We have, what do we have? 46%. A trailing average of 22.87%. This is a really high week for JPMO. This is a really remarkable week. This is one of these safe stocks. I always talk about that, and maybe like GUI or some other ones, but this is a pretty safe stock in terms of the rate you get out of it. But seeing it this high is actually pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, hopefully someone here listening is holding JPMO, and if so, congrats. And the share price you can see is about the same, so that's great. Moving into Murni. This ticker is just a freaking twister, man. It's just declining. So the last price I got was a little under $5, which probably indicates that they're about to do a reverse split on this. You can see this is a very bad decline. Yes, the annualized yield is pretty decent. You gotta keep in mind that if your cost average is higher, you're still losing money, despite it being, decently high yield. This one is at 71% with the average 3 months of 62%, but I wouldn't trust that. Anyone that's still in Murni, I would really, encourage you to rethink your decisions. PLTY, you can see they had a 56%. They have a 3-month average of 59%. Their last two being 61 and 65. This one's interesting. I actually expected this to kind of keep around that level, but it seems to gone down a little bit, but not by much. 56% still pretty decent. Maybe not in terms of YieldMax, but overall it's pretty decent, and the share price is pretty decent as well. Peaking, when was that? In December. It's starting to come down a little bit more. So it's $69. This is the lowest it's been. Well, no, still pretty decent price, honestly. But last but not least, Morrow. Morrow. So for Morrow, we have have 73%. It looks like we only have one data point on this. I'm not really sure why that's the case. But let me check this actually real quick. Huh. Yeah, I guess that's accurate. I thought this came out a while back. Oh, it didn't. I guess it just came out. So, yeah, I guess this just came out, but, you know, pretty high distribution. And the share price decreased a little bit, but not by much. So, yeah. I mean, I didn't even know this came out, to be honest. I kind of missed that. But, yeah. That is it for me today. I just wanted to quickly go over that. I will, of course, be making a video for the distribution to come. Portfolio update on Sunday. And I'll be sure to make a video for Group C tomorrow, which will include, or like basically conclude the first full rotation of me making videos on these distributions. So it's exciting. And hopefully we'll have some kind of just distribution from GPTY. It's going to be very interesting with the new DeepSeek development the last week. So yeah. Anyways, everyone, and kind of the decrease on NVIDIA. So we'll see how it takes us, or where it takes us. But anyways, guys, as always, I wish you guys a wealthy future.